We'll be talking about Riyadh's deepening its regional investment and, of course, Islamabad taking centre stage as the regional power in the region and what these new developments can reshape the region. We'll be talking about that a little later on. In a surprising policy shift, the US has lifted its sanctions ban on Iran's Chabahar port. What this means in a diplomatic opening or a calculated move. We'll be talking about that. We'll unpack the layers behind Washington's decision as we go along. Please stay with us. I have with me Bushra, Senator Bushra Butt. Thank you so much for being with us today. We'll also be joined by Shahid MG Kiani, who's a former ambassador. Thank you for being with us today. And a little later on, we'll have other guests during the course of the program. Senator Bushra, this is a huge development, of course, as far as this pact itself is concerned. And one of the things that was said was in the DG-ISPR's conference also was no either or in Pakistan's relationship with other countries. This is also echoed when, another official statement came and it was said that, this defense pact covers Indian aggression also. As far as the DG-ISPR is concerned, he talked about Fitnat al-Khwarij also. So the kind of aggression that emanates from the Indian side, as far as this pact is concerned, how is it going to look at that? And secondly, how is it going to look at balancing the relationship between, different countries as far as Pakistan is concerned?
So you see, Mahrukh, it's definitely having an impact on how the world is seeing Pakistan. Pakistan recently has shown and proven that it is not just an advisor as far as security is concerned, but has become a security provider as well. And this agreement is definitely a step in the right direction. It shows the willingness, the kind of credibility our armed forces have shown, and not just armed forces. It's how the world sees Pakistan as on one page after a very long time we faced a huge spell of polarization as well, and our armed forces backed with the political leadership has shown the unity and how clear their focus is, and this is another step in the right direction, and definitely it's alarming for our neighbors. It is.
When we look at, of course, the kind of economic opportunities that this pact inks, the potential of it at this time seems huge. How do you see this development, and how do you see this, moving forward with, of course, a country with the resources of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia behind Pakistan?
Definitely, we're looking at an industry which is going to be military based, and yes, Pakistan will become independent as far as the military industry is concerned, and like earlier on with China, they were producing all sorts of military assets. Now it's with Saudi that we will be doing. Other than that, if you look at general, the stock market has just hit the roof, because that's the kind of environment that we can feel, the positivity that we can feel. And initially you mentioned that Pakistan is playing its diplomatic cards very wisely.
Yeah.
It's not just putting all its egg in one basket, and which is the right approach. We are enjoying and inculcating a very healthy relationship with a lot of countries, a lot of regions, and this is just going to bring in all sorts of investments, economic opportunities, be it about intelligence sharing, be it about skilled labor, about sharing resources and standing by each other. So
Let me include Shahid Kiani in this also, and I'll come back to you. Shahid Saab, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Shahid Saab, this agreement, this pact itself, in a lot of ways, what has been said is that, of course, we do have a long-standing relationship with Saudi Arabia. We also have a collaboration with Saudi Arabia as far as security is concerned for a long time now. Is this, in your opinion, an extension of it? Is this, your opinion, a much broader alliance? How do you look at it?
First of all, I agree with Senator Saga, what she's saying. I just want to build upon this argument. These, having served in the foreign service for a considerable long period, agreements of this nature takes a considerable long period of exchanging, going into minute details of what the clauses are. And what has happened is that this agreement, which was signed, defense agreement between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, must have been discussed for the last many years. And it got a quantum jump after what happened with Qatar. And if you look at it, uh, the Gulf countries were shaken. But what happened? Because Qatar remains one of the biggest US air bases there. Qatar itself has immense has invested immensely in a defense protection, but could not stop the Israelis from attacking its sovereignty. Not only that, the aircraft from Israel flew over Syria, then Iraq, refueled over Iraq, and then attacked them. So, and then the Gulf countries, United still they depend on the United States for its security. But United States being thousands of miles away, even though they have bases here, this 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 gave a jolt to the Gulf countries, especially to Saudi Arabia, which has for a long time defense cooperation with Pakistan. Pakistan troops have been there, stationed there, and in a very small number for a very long time. So this gave a jolt to the Saudi also to rethink that yes, now's the time. Pakistan has proven itself. This post Pahalgam, in which we were able to withstand India's 6 times big larger defense strategy also, but we were able to, prove that we can defend ourselves. So this is what brought about a change in the mind of the Gulf countries, and Saudi Arabia especially thought it's better now to move the defense agreement in a manner in which it is not directed against any state, any against state. Let me be honest. Let me tell you straight away. This agreement is not directed against any other state. What it talks about is Pakistan, Saudi Arabia working together to to forestall any threat to these two countries. Then defense cooperation, then manufacture of armaments, sharing of intelligence, because terrorism remains a threat to any country, especially Pakistan, which for the last many decades, and now let me tell you, since 1979 till today, Pakistan has been fighting valiantly on this fight on the front of terrorism.
I
So,
want to come,
Saudi
Basa,
Arabia learns a lot from
I
us.
want to come back to that. Let me include Senator Bushra, and then I'll come back to you. I also want to talk about how, of course, with this formalization, it does give it, a treaty proportion. Or treaty status as far as this pact itself is concerned. Let me go to Bushra and then I'll come back to you. Bushra, the posturing itself, of course, there's a lot that is being said as far as Pakistan is concerned, and the fact that of course it gives us that center stage in the region. So in terms of how Pakistan looks at this time, in terms of how, of course, we saw what happened post Pahalgam, we saw that how the way the world has consistently viewed, and I think you know that better because you were also part of the delegation that was sent all over. There is a change in that. Do you think this will also increase the overall imaging and the posture of Pakistan as far as the region is concerned and as far as the world is concerned?
Yes, definitely, Mahrukh. We, after a long spell of not building a narrative, Pakistan finally has one.
Yeah.
And there have been a series of diplomatic successes, I'd like to believe. And we've been on regular touring the world,
Yeah.
and reinforcing what we've achieved. And it's a huge milestone. And yes, you've mentioned it rightly, it is a bilateral agreement, it is in a form of a treaty. And that just makes the message very strong, strong for the world, strong for the region. And it's acknowledging Pakistan as a regional power. It's actual a proof of the credibility that Pakistan has gained over this period of time, be it about military, be it about political, and acknowledging each other, and all the all the departments, all the stakeholders are on board, and it's definitely creating more credibility of Pakistan in front of the world.
Right. Let me go back to Shahid Sahib. Shahid Sahib, there's also, I know that you have limited time, but of course, this does take, the status of a treaty, in the sense that now that it's formalized, this collaboration, and it's not just military. There's a huge economic side to it. The way that this will benefit Pakistan, the way that it will take us to the next level, even when we talk about deepening economic relationship with Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which of course we already have. How do you see that happening?
First of all, I'm here with you till 9 o'clock, but it depends on you. How much time do you have? Let me share with you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No, I'm with you. Let me share with you. Pakistan and Saudi Arabia have enjoyed economic, diplomatic relations and for a very considerable long period. Please do remember that it was 1974 when the OIC summit took place in Pakistan. It is and remains one of the most, outstanding summits in which rivals even sat in Lahore and when the summit took place. And it was supported by Bucking Faisal at that time. So this is the trust which the Saudis have reposed in Pakistan. We have stood with them and stood with each other. We are one of the largest expatriates living in Saudi Arabia, um, and, and doing a considerable good job. And Saudi Arabian leadership must have found that it is better to repose trust in a country which is which is has a professional armed forces, a government, a nuclear armed country, and a country which has withstood uh, terrorism, which has withstood threats for a considerable long period, and came out victorious. So this is something very important for Saudi Arabia. And now you will see in the coming maybe years when other Gulf countries may also like to join this enlarged, what you call possibly enlarged defense cooperation. But at this time, so
So
treaty is an agreement
I
between
think this is
Pakistan
one
and
of the
Saudi.
things that has also now officially been said, that this can, like you are saying, it has the potential of increasing as far as the pact itself is concerned, deepening, so to speak. Let me come back to you. Bushra, we talk about the ISPR conference also, mentions how, of course, there is Pakistan wants to balance its relationship with countries, whether it's the US, whether it's China, whether it's the Gulf countries, and we've also, of course, as far as this agreement is concerned, it has been said officially also that it shouldn't be seen as anything other than what it is, a mutual collaboration and, of course, a defense pact. Do you think that in terms of foreign policy, we are at this time perhaps managing to balance our relationship, with countries all over, and that itself is something that we've seen recently with regard to the visits, with regard to the interactions across the board? How do you see that?
Mahrukh, it's absolutely very clear that Pakistan's first prerogative is to reinforce the image of a peacemaker. And if you see, we've done that in the recent past as well. And during that summit, that the Muslim world needs to have a united front. And right after that conference, when Qatar wanted everybody to get together, send a strong message, and right after that we get to see this treaty, and right after the treaty we get to see the delegation moving on to US and Britain. So it's a clear message. It's a clear message that yes, Pakistan will always stay true to the cause of Muslim community. Whenever needed, wherever needed, Pakistan will raise the voice. The Prime Minister is very clear. Wherever he gets the opportunity, he raises the issue of Gaza as well. And in need, when any Muslim country when needs Pakistan's support, we are there first and foremost. But yet, I think it's a very smart approach of thinking about the country's prerogative as well. Right now, Pakistan, because you see, the Prime Minister is of the opinion that in order for us to wean off these funds, all kinds of loans that Pakistan is getting, we need to bring in investment. We need to be self-sufficient. So in order for us to be self-sufficient, we need to explore all the avenues. If India is right now not enjoying the same kind of relationship it was with US, that is creating a lot of opportunities for Pakistan to explore as well, right? So again, I'd like to say that Pakistan's approach is very mature. We are there for everyone, but yet we know exactly where our interests lie.
Right, fair enough. Shahid sir, another huge, another huge thing as far as the geographic complementarity that we look at when we talk about Pakistan and the Gulf countries. As far as Pakistan is concerned, we sit at the crossroads of South Asia and Central Asia. As far as Saudi Arabia is concerned, it anchors the Gulf. The pact connects these two strategic gateways, does it not? And that itself has a lot of potential in terms of investment, in terms of huge economic gains, right?
Let me just jog your memory. It was last year when Pakistan held the SCO Heads of Government Summit. Now, this was something which reinforced so much of confidence within the people of Pakistan and the other countries of the SCO. The people at that time, your adversaries were talking about Pakistan diplomacy having failed. Now, lot of countries of Central Asia are members of the SCO. Then if you look at our Prime Minister, then because Central Asia has been relatively ignored, but then he uh, paid series of visits to the Central Asian republics. Now we're looking at it that if once Afghanistan settles down, there is stability there. This will be a connecting the Central Asian Republic, uh, which do not have any access to the sea, from uh, from there, from Afghanistan to Gwadar and other places. So for them, this is and one thing. This is very important, and for is very important in future if this thing happens. The other important thing is, if I just want to tell you regarding this treaty between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, Pakistan has extremely good relations. China, yes, everybody knows, with Russia, with Turkey, so for Saudi Arabia, an alternative is also there. If you look at it, Pakistan relations with these very important countries in the region gives it another boost of confidence that it is signing agreement with a country which has already very good relations with regional powers. So this is something which would also give a signal to other Gulf countries and other Muslim countries that yes, it's time now to stand on their own feet and and let not look at other countries for their security. And again, I would re-emphasize, this agreement is not directed against any country, but it gives confidence to countries who lack the what you call the wherewithal of security.
Right. Thank you so much, Shahid Saab. Thank you for your very valuable input. Bushra, as far as the regional leadership role is concerned, as far as Pakistan and Saudi Arabia together, it also gives us, of course, like we seem to be co-architects of a more secure Muslim world in this, after this pact. Isn't that also part of, how this pact can be looked at? By the Muslim world, of course, as far as the OIC is concerned, and Saudi Arabia's role, very, very important role there also.
Yes, definitely, Mahrukh, because what we've seen, what's happening with the Muslim world, the kind of voices that everyone is raising for Gaza, we need to get together. It is, at the end of the day, survival of the fittest. Pakistan is enjoying all of this because of the performance of the armed forces. The countries are looking at Pakistan differently, the kind of confidence Pakistan is enjoying now. It just gives a very clear message that yes, we need to stand together. A united front definitely will reap results in a better way. And and the rest of the Muslim countries will enjoy benefits from it as well. It is just the beginning. This treaty between two countries is, I feel, it's just the beginning in the right direction. We can and we will add more countries probably who share the same interest. And
you see this as a growing, perhaps, pact.
It is. It is from you see, because it's just happened, and I think it will gain more momentum. Yes. Definitely.
As far as the UAE is concerned, and I think we spoke a little bit about that earlier, there have been, of course, the recent security concerns that have happened after, you know, the Qatar events that we've seen overall. Do you think that that itself will also be one of those considerations that will, of course, prompt other countries?
Definitely. This event, I'd like to say, is an eye-opener. It's an eye-opener to get together and under the umbrella of obviously the religion and realize that we need to protect ourselves, because like you mentioned earlier on as well, that Qatar always thought that US would, you know, because of the air bases and all, and they share a good relationship, that US would definitely back them off, but they feel stranded, they feel left, you know, and this is the kind of uncertainty that is bringing everyone closer. So yes.
Thank you so much, Bushra. I know that you were short of time. Thank you for coming, and thank you for making time for us today. It was a pleasure having you. We have with us Umar Karim, who is an associate fellow at KFCSA. Thank you for being with us today. He's also an associate, of course, this is King Faisal Center, Saudi Arabia. Umar, I know that you are very well placed to, you know, guide us and tell us, you know, as far as this pact itself is concerned and its potential when we look at security and investment for both Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. You know, of course, on the investment side, on the economic side, this is a huge opportunity for Pakistan, is it not?
Thank you so much. Yes, definitely. On the economic side, this is really a big opportunity because the strategic partnership now properly institutionalizes Saudi interests into Pakistan's economic sphere, or if we say that even if it's fact is a more sort of defense focus, but then Pakistan's economy is actually its weak link in terms of its defense as well. So we can expect that now Saudi Arabia will be more open to investing in our industrial sector, in our agriculture sector, mining sector, etc., and can become kind of, in a way, an additional pillar to the development modernization of Pakistan. And the good thing is that we have now a ready-made investor also with regards to our defense industrial complex. Because as the declaration charted this out, that both sides will try to strengthen avenues of and develop different aspects of defense cooperation. Now, this emphasis on aspects of defense cooperation is very important because it involves from, let's say, the manufacturing of chips to the manufacturing of basic motors, diesel engines, and whatnot. Because after all, the defense industry is an accumulation.
As far as this pact is concerned, how is it being looked at in Saudi Arabia? How is it being viewed? You know, of course, Pakistan's military power is something that, of course, is acknowledged in not just in the region but in the world also. So what we bring to the world, and of course how Pakistan takes center stage regionally also, you know, as far as this agreement is concerned, how is it being viewed within Saudi Arabia?
It's viewed with an enormous degree of positivity, in some quarters happiness, in some quarters actually kind of they are vindicated because they have been saying this for a long time that Saudi Arabia needs to cement and strengthen its relationship with Pakistan. So, there are different constituencies within Saudi Arabia. There is one constituency of former military figures, former political figures who have served within Pakistan or who have had long held ties with Pakistanis. But then there is another constituency which has become really important now in Saudi Arabia, and that is the millennials or Generation Z. And these people, they don't understand Pakistan as such, or they were not really aware of Pakistan's defense capabilities as such. And because of different factors and aspects, and India's, you can say, global outreach, they were more inclined, or you can say, tilted towards India, because for them, that was the real global power. But I must say that the May confrontation between India and Pakistan, in which Pakistan had a thumping victory over India and prevailed in a really enormous manner, actually impacted and impressed upon this constituency notably. And I think that it is when this change started to happen. And I would say that the current Saudi decision makers, they also, in a manner, represent these same people. And this is where I think a lot of people thought that Pakistan is perhaps the best candidate for a strategic partnership, because it doesn't have that sort of a backdrop of colonial issues, etc., which some other Muslim countries have with regards
And
to
of course,
Saudi Arabia.
And of course, Pakistan and Saudi Arabia have had a collaboration of decades as far as security is concerned. So this, in that sense, of course, it's a much deeper pact, but it formalizes those, right, already existing collaborations.
Obviously, absolutely, because on the military side, within, let's say, Saudi armed forces, you can say it was a world which was very much always open to Pakistan, because most people, whether they were middle ranking officers to higher officers to basic cadres, they had always seen Pakistani officers, Pakistani junior commissioned officers, and non commissioned officers around them. In addition to, of course, the Pakistani expatriates, which are all around them. So Pakistan, in a manner, or Pakistanis in Saudi Arabia were always at home, and Saudis within this Pakistani defense stratosphere were always very much at home as well. And I think that this is what the kind of interpersonal connection was always there. But you can say that the bigger dependency was on United States, because United States was the global leader or world power. But I think that these
So
Israeli
in that
strikes and
sense,
Israeli
perhaps
maneuvers.
it balances things more now as far as relationships go with regard to Saudi Arabia also. Thank you so much, Umar. Thank you for your very valuable time. We're going to be moving on to, of course, the development as far as US lifting the ban on sanctions on Iran's Chabahar. We will be taking a short break, after which we'll come back. Please stay with us. Welcome back. We're going to be talking about the policy shift from Washington as far as the lifting of ban on sanctions in Chabahar is concerned. We have with us Mohammad Khatibi, who is Iran's foreign policy expert, Harun Rashid, who is a senior journalist, also a geopolitical analyst. Thank you for being with us today. Mohammad Khatibi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
First of all, what is behind, in your opinion, this policy shift that's come from Washington in lifting of these sanctions that, of course, are going to take effect later in September?
So today we had another issue here, and the United Nations Security Council has not extended the snapback mechanism and the resolution 2231, and this is in line with that issue with the United States, maximum pressure, and United States is trying its best to pressure Iran into the negotiating table. But it can't happen And also, there are more implications for India, and this is not just about Iran. The Chabahar port is a really important port for the Indians, and they have been using that to reach Afghanistan. And without this, the route will be closed, and the reach of India to Afghanistan markets will be totally ruined, and India will
I want to
lose
come to
its.
that. As far as, do you think it's a pressure tactic from Washington as far, against, of course, what we've seen as far as, like you said, India, and of course, it puts their investments very much at risk. Isn't that also a fact?
Yes, actually, it's more pressure on India rather than Iran, because Chabahar port is only providing 1% of Iran's trade operations, naval trade operations, and it is more important for India, and India will lose to its markets to Afghanistan and its initiatives, which it attempted to reach the Central Asia and Eurasia, and without using the routes in Pakistan and bypassing the Pakistani trade routes. And the 170 kilometers away from Chabahar port, there is a Gwadar port that is important also for Pakistan, and is operated by China, the rival of India. I think India's recent moves to be closer to Russia and China has the reason that US wants to pressure on India, and the tariffs on India, 25% tariffs, are all in the same line to pressure India to reverse its course of action and be closer to the United States. And the Chabahar port is in that line.
When we talk about, of course, Iran, like you said the less than 1% of, impact as far as Iran is concerned. But, as far as the US is concerned, it's saying that exemption has been specifically for Afghanistan reconstruction and economic development, and that reassessment or curtailment of such waivers was directed towards that. How do you see that? As far as
it will be significant for humanitarian aid for Afghanistan, because if that port stops operating, the humanitarian aid will take much more time to reach Afghanistan, and it should go through land routes, and that will strain the humanitarian aid operations. And it's also a big pressure on the Afghanis and Afghan people, and not just Indians. This will make their life really hard.
But Umar, isn't it true that there is an exception as far as humanitarian aid is concerned?
I don't think that US will allow that. There are similar issues with Iran's sanctions, and many important dual-use products are prevented from entering Iran, and they can do that same to the Afghanistan, and that can happen even with other kinds of products that are going to Afghanistan. I'm trying to say that there are some products that are used in humanitarian issues, like drugs, and they have dual use, and those drugs are prevented to enter Iran, and that can happen to Afghanistan if the exemption is lifted.
As far as India is concerned, of course, as far as, what has officially come from India, how do you see the relationship between India and the US shaping after this? And of course, like you said, of course, the effect that India, of course, knows this ban on, can potentially have, the lifting of it.
So, as I said, US is trying to push all the Middle Eastern countries into Russia's and China's embrace, and the actions by US, for example, putting tariffs on India, it will not pressure India to become obedient to Trump coercions, but instead it will make India be closer to China and embrace China's trade routes, embrace China's economy, and that will not help the relations between two countries, I think, and in general. And also, there are no signs that India and US are getting close in near future because of the tariffs and because of the measures against Modi's government.
As far as you said, the project financing suppliers are concerned, of course, China, you said, there is perhaps the regional realignment that perhaps we can look at as far as China is concerned, as far as India is concerned. But do you think that there is an alternative for the project financing or suppliers that, of course, this ban will target, the lifting of it on these sanctions? There is an alternative to them as far as India is concerned.
I think there will be alternatives, but not in the near term, because no one is willing to put all things in one desk on one issue, and they don't want to clash with the United States. For near future, there will be no alternatives for India and for Iran to gain investments, but eventually, after becoming more closer to Russia and China, Iran will find new alternatives of investment, because the pressure is not doing any good to any of these countries becoming a US ally.
Right, fair enough. Thank you so much for your very valuable time, Umar, Karim. Thank you for being with us. Mohammad Khatibi, thank you for joining us from Iran and your very valuable input today. That's all for Perspective. Of course, we spoke about the very historic pact between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia and its potential ramifications as they resonate in the region, and also the new development as far as the policy shift by Washington and its potential effects on India and their trade and investment routes. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.